When writing, do you start with an outline?
Sometimes. I like to know where I'm going at least. At a very minimum, it's hard for me to write without an end goal, even if it's the end of a scene or the next scene. If I'm writing like a feature-length screenplay from beginning, I'll generally lean towards an outline. Yeah, at least so I'll know some of the beats. A lot of the writing I've done is for just all different kinds of things, like, shorter form things or whatever, and that can be a different process. But yeah, I'd say generally an outline is good, just to help me keep track of where I'm going. So otherwise, scenes can meander anyway, especially when your characters start taking on a life of their own. Like it's really strange, but they will start to talk and your story will meander. And I think it's good to have at least those checkpoints. That said, I think I have to be flexible enough to let them go away from those checkpoints, because sometimes it just doesn't. You feel that the characters want to go over here and my milepost is over there, and that'll force you to take a step back and, this isn't working. Maybe I shouldn't. But that's good. And so that, the outline does help in those instances to make you re-examine your story. So yeah, I would guess the answer would be yes. The outline is good. For me personally.
How do you outline? Like if you were to explain it to someone who had never done an outline before, how would you show them?
Yeah, I would, I'll outline a couple of different ways. I want to know how it ends. So a lot of times I'll start at the very, very end of my story. And not only the plot, but I want to know the theme. So what am I trying to say with this story? This is a story about parenting or whatever it is. So it's almost like a parallel outline, right? I want to say this by the end. Even though Stephen King says you can't do that, Stephen King in his book on writing says you can't write with the moral of the story in mind. Something like, I'm butchering that quote, but he says something along those lines. I personally like doing that because I like to have something to say. So if I were teaching someone how to do it, I would say, yeah, you need to know where it ends. You need to know where the big turning points are. Start with the big overarching stuff first. At what point does your story get going? We meet your character, but you've got to have that moment where it pivots and he goes in this direction, or life forces him in a certain direction. You should know that. You don't just stumble across it. That should be thought out. I like to know where the halfway point is, point of no return. That's where in Apollo 13, where they decide, we have to slingshot around the moon to get back to the Earth. There's that point where they have to keep going and not go back. I like to know where that is. I think it's important. Where your characters cross that line, they have to journey forward. If you're following any of those traditional storytelling techniques, like the hero's journey, for example, those are really important beats to understand. The world building, or the ordinary world stage, for example. That's like say in Finding Nemo, the ordinary world stage is seeing what his life is like as an ordinary person. Then there's call to action stage. In Star Wars, the call to action is Obi-Wan saying, you should come and join the rebellion. Then there's a refusal of the call. Those are big bullet points that I think is important to understand. Luke says, no, I can't go join the rebellion. I got to farm, I got to help out with the farm. And then they end up crossing the threshold. That's, crossing the threshold, I believe, is another one of those beat points. So it is important, I think, to know that. Now, that's not to say that every story has to follow those. Rules are made to be broken, but I do think there does need to be certain things that you know ahead of time that will make your story stronger. And that will translate to you on set. You'll know, if you know those bullet points when you start, you'll know, okay, this scene right here is the moment where he's saying the thing he's always wanted to say. This is the turning point. And actors love to know that kind of thing, right? So that outline really will help underscore everything.